Okay, welcome to a small community race off of Australia, off of Adelaide in particular. It's at Gambier Island and it's a figure eight. So there's the North Island and there's Gambier Island itself. It'll be a figure eight coming around, many different points of sail, and should be quite interesting, I hope. Alright, ready to go. Good luck, gentlemen. Alright, here we go. Oh. Oh, don't want to get in Chris's way. Who's that? He's going backwards. What's going on there? Wow, that's a bit strange. Okay, that was old me. This is new me, as Scott Manley often says. And off we go. It's going to be sped up in a moment. But question for you, have you noticed my mistake? Because I didn't notice it for quite a long time. And I was having one of those dull moments today. Anyway, speeding off around the top part of the island. I'm not going to talk too much during this video, but we'll try not to talk too much during this video. This is the second time I've tried to do it. Recording software didn't record my audio the first time, and I didn't have any particular strategy for this race. It's only a 2-hour race, so weather wasn't going to play a big factor. TWS was, between 14s and 18s. Off to my starboard side there you can see Disco Infidel, and in front of me you'll see that Pacific Sea Cow has moved into the front. We're all doing, well, I'm not sure, but I did manual trim. The other guys I'm pretty sure did manual trim. Some of them might have used the helping hand, but that's all good. Actually, I think that in the long run, auto sail doesn't actually sail as fast as doing it manually, and you can see those two bouncing into each other as I cut around the headland there. I'm always playing it a little bit cute with the depth. And here we go down. And I'm just about to change my jib to the Jenica, I believe, or maybe in a couple of seconds anyway. Oh no, here I go. So down it goes and up comes the Jenica, and I still haven't seen my mistake. As I bounce into Pacific Sea Cow there, sometimes you need 2 crew or at least a mirror to be able to see. Maybe just like a little wide angle at the edges or something. Peripheral vision. Anyway, a lot longer later, and I'm just jibing back and forward. Still not sure. I had actually said to the guys on VHF, can't get my main correct, and too dumb today to even look and think about it. And I'm looking at a rock in the distance. This map had quite a lot of little rocks around, which you couldn't see on the map, which is quite interesting. You can see Disco Infidel's great spinnaker there. Looks quite nice. And as I'm about to trim up my Jenica again, it finally dawns on me. What's going on here? Oh, the main reef. So I didn't lose a lot of time, but that's because the TWS true wind speed was reasonably high today, and it let me keep fairly much in contact with them. I'm only about 0.1 of a nautical mile behind them, and so jump forward in time here a little bit to the northeast tip of the island, and I'm trying to make up time just by throwing caution to the wind and getting my depth, or getting into my depth or out of my depth, whichever way you see it, and try to shortcut these guys. So we're going to cut again in a moment, and well, this is actually a sped up sequence, I believe, of me coming down the island. There we do have a cut, and you can see that I'm at the southern tip now. And this is an interesting little moment here, where we're all meeting up again, and you can see Disco Infidel is just there in my shot, and there's Pacific Sea Cow as I bring down my Jenica. I can see that Disco moves to starboard, and I'm trying to turn at the same time while putting up my jib. Pacific seems to have slowed down a little bit. My speed is staying fairly constant anyway, so that might be the reason, or he might have had to bear away a little bit. Anyway, so just trimming up a little, and we'll get around this this southerly tip. There's a nice big lighthouse that you might be able to see if I kept it in the video, and no, I didn't keep it in. Anyway, you can see that Disco is right behind me, and I'm mucking around with my main sheet and just making sure everything's trimmed right. Okay, a little bit further, or on a little bit later, and this is a point where people are starting to think about tacking. I'm not ready to tack yet, primarily because the wind angle is not favorable. But I believe that the Disco is going to do that in a moment. Oh, sorry. This is before we get to that. This is the halfway point. 6 miles are done. It's a 12-mile race, and yeah, we're going to jump forward again in a moment to see that the Disco is the first one to tack, and Pacific is saying that I'm jumping into the air. I believe that the boats seem to go over the crest of the waves and did jump a little bit. I didn't see anybody jump out of the water, but Chris got sorry, not Chris, sorry, Pacific got pretty close once in a while. It was all pretty fun. And as I look back, I can see that Disco Inferno has indeed tacked across. I still believe that the wind is not quite favorable there. And here we go to probably the longest sequence of the race, and it's the longest only because I had a lot of fun in this next couple of minutes. Both Pacific and I were very close, and we did a bit of tacking, and that's always a lot of fun. So I'll just let it go on a little bit further. You can see that I went across his bow, and I'm not sure why I really did this. There was no real point in me going across his bow except for the fact that it's a game and I'm having fun. And I think to myself, well, I've got to tack sometime. He's right in my way. See how he pauses there? It's just really weird when you go on a crest of a wave sometimes. I'm not sure whether that's a graphical glitch. Probably is. Most likely some type of lag, server lag. And here I go, I'm tacking, and I've got to get behind him. And as you see, I'll have to point really high. And there I go around the back of him, and then point back up again. Just sending Packer a little message So I know I'm going to have to do it again sometime. And there he is. And sometimes I just like moving the waypoints because it gives me a better or clearer idea of what the wind is doing. It does help me tack a little bit better sometimes. And here I go again. I'm going to go down the back of him. But once again, he's going to stop in midair. And oh, there we go. That second time, probably I would have scraped his rudders. And I'm getting a little bit of lag as well, as you can see by the video. It hasn't happened a lot, although since the update I've noticed a little bit more lag. But oh well. They have to test the boundaries, and I'm hoping that the view range will be increased, because I like to see the boats as far away as possible. Just sending him a message again, saying that you know, even though there's no collisions, I'd like to play fair, try not to hit each other, use the best rules of the road or the sea. And just checking up again, and once again getting almost close to the end of the sequence, but a little bit more time to go. And this is tack that I'm about to make, and Pacific in this case follows me. So here I go, and you'll see that he tacks across as well. So we're both now on a port tack, and he's going to tack back to a starboard tack pretty soon, and I'm going to follow him as well. So you can see Chris down the back there. Disco is south of me, and he turns and I turn as well, and we're nose to nose. Okay, I cut out a bit of sequence, which I sort of regret cutting out a little bit. It's of all of us tacking very, very close to the island, all of us getting very close to beaching it at some stages, and well, it's time to stay the course. Pacific goes north again. I don't think it's a bad tack, but I think that it did give me a slight advantage, and from this point on I'm basically in front. Only by a few meters here and there, but it's enough to get me onto the fast leg and then stay in front. Once you're going downwind, it's pretty hard for somebody to catch you. It's really the tacking leg that determines a lot of the race. And as you can see here, I've got a little bit of time on all of them. So once again, playing it a little bit cute and not using the angles as well as I probably could, but as I've got a little bit of time here, and as we reach my next leg and turn across, I don't really make a mistake here, but I'm sort of experimenting with the idea of using a Kodo. In the end, I want to get it up as quickly as possible. The speed difference can be, 2 knots, maybe 3 knots, more than that sometimes. And so I decide to take a slightly different bearing to my waypoint. I want to get a little bit more north, and this will allow me to put up my Kodo a little bit earlier than the rest of them. I do lose a little bit here. You will see Pacific catching me a little bit, and he has the better angle, but in the end it's me that gets to put up the Kodo quicker. I wasn't sure whether this was enough time to make a real difference, but in the end, as you can see here, I'm checking back and forward once in a while just to see what my angle is, and then finally I get around about 90 degrees or so, and I think to myself, Kodo time. So jib down, Kodo up, and I get to sprint away at 10.5 knots. So not that much longer later, but enough to see what's happened here, and you can see that I've strung them out a little bit. It's actually not as far as you think, because on the downward leg, people sort of get more elongated, whereas with the tacking leg they stay together a lot more. And obviously I'm going to have to put my Kodo down, and as soon as I get back into the wind and I'm pointing again, these guys will catch up, and that elongation will come back together like an accordion. I do make one small mistake as I'm going northerly. I tacked into the island again and let Pacific catch me a little bit of time. I think that was probably a bit of a mistake, but otherwise pretty hard for them to catch me now. And as you can see, I'm just getting around the headland here, and I don't change my angle as well as I probably should. This means that I have to trim twice the main. I probably could have also, with the Kodo, I could have pulled it in a little bit more. But really, the Kodo, once you get below, into the 60 degrees TWA, it's useless. Not useless, but it doesn't really work very efficiently. And yep. So once again, a little bit off course, not paying as much attention as I should be. And those guys are in the background there fighting it out. It looks like Disco and Pacific are very, very close. There's not much time in it there. and this is where I believe I made a little. This is where I believe I made a little mistake. I didn't really need to tack here. I could have just gone up further and just made one tack. I decided that I was going to head across. The angle, as you can see, is not really that great. And realizing my mistake, I just want to get a little bit inside Pacific now and turn back up again. I believe I make 2 more tacks before the end, 2 or 3 more tacks before the end. But this is pretty much the race. So it took, I don't know, it took around about an hour and 40 minutes, an hour and 45 minutes to do this race. It was a nice distance, better than the hour short in Bermuda and Mauritius for me, and a lot more interesting, just because you could use a lot more different sails. I also like using the Mini rather than the cruiser anyway. And you can see that I'm getting very, very close to the line, and lucky again to be able to be victorious. Really doesn't go to my head. I have short races with other skippers from time to time, and they do beat me, and so that keeps me very well grounded. And there we go. I'm across the line. So I'll leave you with the end sequence here. I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for Disco Infidel, Pacific Sea Cow, and Chris on Sailaway for playing. Chris in particular for helping me organize it. He came up with the initial idea of doing this Gambier Island short race. It was a very, very good course. Figure 8 worked well. See the bump there. And yeah, just a lot of fun. So thank you again, and catch you in my next video. Bye bye.